Hop in, my friends. Hop in, my people. Welcome to Doug in Exile. These episodes are called double wide. It's when I do at least two major stories. It's basically two episodes back to back. You'll see what I mean. Don't stop halfway through. That's just one story done. Then we'll move on to another major news moment. This one is an odd one. I'm looking for the Marines going into Chicago, which has not happened, even though it's being widely spread around the internet and right-wing media. Here's Nick Sorter breaking a standoff between Department of Homeland Security agents and leftists. Antifa has broken out amid a Department of Homeland Security involved car crash. And tear gas is being deployed. It's insane. Chicago is a war zone, true. Active duty Marines may be needed. I'll be in Chicago soon to cover. So he's going to give us the news pretty soon. Here's the actual car crash. There are no Marines here so far. Watch this.
Again, when you first got on scene and you were able to talk to some neighbors and some witnesses there on the scene and describe to us what initially...
Judy, wait 1 second. Okay. I see Chicago police are arriving and putting themselves in the middle of the situation right now. It appears there might be someone in command, from what I can see, approaching the area. I'm not sure if this is in an attempt to start dispersing the crowds, but we have just in the last few seconds seen Chicago police, who had remained at bay, now starting to put themselves in the middle of the... Oh, God. Protesters are starting to throw rocks. We're going to get away from the scene right now, Judy.
Okay, Michelle, you take care of yourself. I'm going to let her get off the phone. We really appreciate it. Get to a safe place.
It looked like the military, National Guard or whatever they are, were in the streets. Then the but the Chicago police came in and they were kind of relieved. They kind of dispersed. Then the canister, smoke bomb or tear gas or whatever it is got thrown in here.
So what you're watching, what you continue to watch, is exactly what Michelle has been describing. This, again, at the intersection 105th and Avenue N. Last Michelle said as protesters started throwing rocks, and you can see that there is some chemical being deployed right there at this intersection. Just prior to this, you did see what appeared to be Chicago police officers and some commanders there trying to have some type of a dialogue with the protesters there at the intersection. It would seem that they were trying to disperse the crowd and maybe usher them off the street so that the agents could possibly move their vehicles. And it was at that point that Michelle noticed that protesters started throwing rocks, and this is the end result. Earlier, we had heard that there were pepper balls being sprayed into the crowd because someone had thrown eggs, or some neighbors had thrown something at the agents. And now reports of rocks being thrown, and that was coming from Michelle, a reporter right there on the ground. She has now gotten off the phone with us. They're trying to get to a safer place, of course, but we can continue to watch this picture. Fortunately, with Chopper 7 up in the air, we can still continue to monitor what is happening here. Again, if you are just joining us here on stream, this situation has been very tense for the last maybe about 40 minutes.
I'm going to report something slightly different on this one. It largely dispersed. There are people that really I know that Chicago is crime-wise, it's a war zone, but this actual cleanup, these bubble ups happen throughout the area, and then the helicopters come in and cover it. And then social media takes this one couple block area and makes it national news. So I'm just warning all of you guys, because I want to tell you guys the truth and keep you well informed about my perception of Chicago, is that it's not a bunch of chaos or out of control or anything. Here's more from Nick Sorter. There's a No King's Day rally coming, okay? That's, I believe, today. These are activists. The Department of Homeland Security has removed fencing around the ICE Broadview near Chicago. This is Nick Sorter's opinion. Judicial tyranny is going to end up in ICE agents being killed. National Guard is needing now. So he keeps calling more for the National Guard. And again, I don't see it. I will report it, guys, as soon as it comes. I get a lot of news from Nick Sorter. So just hold tight. Here they are removing those boundaries out front. Why would they be removing the fencing? We're going to find out in a minute. Keep watching here. Here's another one with Gunther Eagleman now repeating that same news from Fox News.
In the U.S. illegally. One of them had an order for removal from 2024. A crowd formed up, and Chicago police say they started throwing rocks. So tear gas and other crowd control weaponry was used to disperse the people. Meantime, the fence surrounding the ICE facility here in Broadview, Illinois, is down. It came down with an hour to go before the court-ordered midnight deadline. The mayor of Broadview acknowledged that the protests here get out of control. So the area on the southwest side of the ICE facility has been declared a no-protest zone, primarily to keep people from walking into traffic. The demonstrators are now restricted to a small zone here on the northeast side, and the protesters don't like it.
It seems like they're trying to push us out or trying to make it so the protest is less effective. I'm not the
He's a protester. Bigfoot, trim your beard.
only one that feels this is unconstitutional. People are going to get more angry and they're going to come out.
Stop physically. DHS says one of the...
That was Gentle Ben, Grizzly Adams on the show here. So the protests, are they out of hand? I see some evidence. Here's a clip that I found of these guys were recorded. He's going to run by in a minute. Okay. So they got zip ties on him. They arrested this guy. They got zip ties on him and he's running through these cars from this person's point of view. Watch this. Right there. He's got his zip ties around his hands.
No way.
And the cops are chasing him.
Got little on him.
Right in front of checks cashed. There goes the neighborhood. They need a pawn shop in there too. This guy, they had him zip tied. He runs off. They busted him. Got him again. Again, this is local and small. And then there's people yelling at the cops. Or not the cops, but whatever those National Guards are doing there. Here's more from Amuse. Antifa, Mexican cartels are working with Chicago gangs and local Antifa cells to identify and assassinate ICE and CBP officials. Cartels flush with cash depend on intelligence provided by street-level gang members and Antifa leftist Democrat cells. Up to $50,000. Here it is on Fox News on this guy who had an actual bounty on his head.
I came into work one morning and found that there was a bounty that was put out by the Latin Kings, by that individual, and I was notified that morning, hey, there's a bounty on your head now. So it was quite interesting.
And what can you tell us about what that does to, just kind of the infrastructure?
Things have changed a lot. Since those bounties were put out, we've had to take different measures to keep our agents safe, our ICE officers safe, and our allied law enforcement agents safe as they go into the field. And something else here that we're seeing is the lethality of the assaults against officers and agents. That lethality is increasing, and I think it's because of the bounties and that crazy rhetoric by the out-of-control governor and mayor.
The rhetoric is one thing. That really is an emotional argument. It is true that they're fomenting emotions of people with rhetoric. Rhetoric can do that. Democrats want that rhetoric out there of war and fighting. And we have to tone down the rhetoric because you don't want to ever contribute to the violence on the streets, right? That's number one. Number two, we did a little bit on George Soros yesterday on his funding of these radical left-wing Antifa, they're anarchist groups. And it's all astroturfing. This is fake. They want to make it look like it's an organic protest. It's not. A lot of this is actually funded.
Lethality, like just yesterday, as you know, we had two illegal aliens from Venezuela tried to run over two Border Patrol agents. They were unsuccessful and then decided it would be a good idea to ram the Border Patrol car before engaging in a high-speed pursuit. So that, along with weapons being taken to protests, the lethality is definitely increasing, and it's because of things like bounties and the crazy things that governor says.
Real quickly, and I'll move to the next. You mentioned officers in there, too. I'm going to think...
So that he's specifically calling out
It's
Pritzker, Governor Pritzker and the Brandon Johnson, the mayor guy that took the place of Lori Lightfoot.
Has been all along. That's an unspoken story. As we have these illegal alien gangs, the Latin Kings, MS-13 Serenos, that puts them in danger as well. That's an unspoken story here that needs to be told. And I'm glad you brought that to light, Harris. They've been in danger for a long time now. That's why we're here. That's why ICE, Border Patrol are here in Chicago to take care of that situation, to wrap those gangs up. That makes it safer for those local police.
Well, look, this is hard to believe that it's going on, but while you're trying to...
They're going to show you that news clip again that we already showed you, but we'll see. Meanwhile, the people, they are calling for Trump to come in. They're sick and tired of the violence on their streets.
I don't know how it go in your city, town, state, but in Chicago, when we go vote, you always got 2-3 women at the door telling you to vote all Democrat.
That's illegal.
The history of nobody. They don't tell you what neighborhood these people from. They tell everybody in line, just vote blue. Now tell me what type of... I'm done, bro.
He's done. He's voting. Ready for this? Listen to how he's voting.
Vote red.
I'm voting red. Next time, a whole lot of minorities are voting red. Here's once again, every time Pam Bondi does something right, here she is calling out Pritzker, talking about Chicago.
Take that to Chicago. They had 571 homicides last year. Pritzker should be begging Donald Trump to come in. And, you know, on what you said about Memphis, we have Mayor Paul Young working with us. He's amazing. He's a Democrat. He wants to make Memphis safe. Right here in D.C., Sean, look how safe D.C. is now because of Muriel Bowser working with Donald Trump. Metro Police, Transit Authority Police, right here, working with all of our federal agents hand in hand and our National Guard. Pritzker's lost his mind.
Pritzker's lost his mind. That should be the title of this video. Pritzker's lost his mind. That's a quote of Pam Bondi today. Hold tight. We got another episode coming up, but I'll keep you guys posted on what's happening in Chicago. It's not a big deal yet. It's not out of control, but they are wrapping up. It is Trump's efforts to stop the crime there. And Memphis is going better. They said they're getting a lot more compliance there in Memphis because we're here in Tennessee, and Tennessee's frankly a little cooler than Chicago. Sorry, guys. I'm Doug in Exile. Subscribe. Welcome to the second half of the Double Wide. This is about a giant thing that blew up just last night. The Young Republicans, a bunch of texts where they said a bunch of mean things, racist things, anti-Semitic things. It got leaked out to the left through a political argument, and then suddenly... So this is about culture, guys. Welcome to Doug in Exile. You guys know how I like this stuff, but I just want to know, will this penetrate into culture? Will this be the new thing that ruins the Republican Party and gives the Democrats a leg up? So I'm gonna reference a lot of this. I'm going to try and go as fast as I can because really this just needs to be short. Here's J.D. Vance on these terrible texts that went out.
A person who is very politically powerful, who is about to become one of the most powerful law enforcement officers in the country, that person seriously wishing for political violence and political assassination is 1,000 times worse.
Okay, now, so I just got to put this in context, okay? J.D. Vance is talking about Jay Jones, okay, who's running out there in Virginia, and he was found with his personal text saying he wanted to shoot his opponent's kids and all that, and have them all die in his arms. So that ruined the Democrat chances of winning that advantage, right? In culture, everyone turned against him and started demanding Spanberger distance herself from him, and Nancy Pelosi, will you weigh in on this? Everyone weighed in on this, right? Ruined his career. So the Democrats came up with this bunch of texts that they found from young Republicans making these racist comments, and they made a moral equivalent saying it's the same thing. It's a private chat, and they are terrible things to say. But I'm only saying one set of terrible things was said by the young Republicans in a private chat. The other set, and by the way, they're joking. It's very dark humor. I get it. But I'm just saying, you don't cancel people over that. And then Jay Jones, who actually had this weird murderous statement against an opponent, okay? So J.D. Vance, then they're trying to get him to come out and condemn the young Republicans, which is a tactic. It's a political tactic.
Than what a bunch of young people, a bunch of kids say in a group chat, however offensive it might be. That's just reality. And if you allow yourself to be distracted by this person's incredible endorsement, disgusting endorsement of political assassination by focusing on what kids are saying in a group chat, grow up. I'm sorry. Focus on the real issues. Don't focus on what kids say in groups.
So that's some of the right's response is, if you're going to go after a bunch of young Republicans for saying N-word jokes and things and throwing Jews in ovens, I'll go to some of those messages. It's awful, because he goes, you are playing the Democrats' game in going after this shiny piece of foil. It is being used for political purposes. That's all I'm going to say about that point specifically. Now I'm going to go to the actual article. So this is the article that was dropped from Politico last night, and it says, it's quote, "I love Hitler," unquote. Leaked messages expose the young Republicans' racist chat. You guys have to know, this is bait. This is a shiny piece of foil. Politico does not care about these kinds of terrible jokes that are told. They're purely using it to undermine Republicans and defend the Democrats to protect Jay Jones, who wants to murder an opponent. Do you understand? That's the tactic. That's why I'm angry at Politico, because then you have to say, oh, I totally condemn these words. They go, do you condemn these words? I go, I won't even answer you, because you're only using this as a chess piece. You do not care about these statements. Thousands of private messages reveal young GOP leaders joking about gas chambers, slavery, and rape. So they specifically go through all the quotes, and they're very explicit, okay? And they make sure that you know every text. They would normally blur them out if it was by a Democrat. Because it's by a Republican, you're going to get the full Monty right here. I really shouldn't even be showing these on YouTube. They're so bad. Just imagine it, okay? They're calling black people monkeys. They're saying Jews go in ovens and all that. This is very dark humor. I don't believe any of these people actually believe it, but that's a different story, okay? Now, if they cared, that same magazine would have done all of these mainstream, normal Democrats making fun of Charlie Kirk's death, saying Matt Walsh should be next, Trump should be shot next. I'm only saying they did not emphasize these specifics on these statements after Charlie Kirk's death. Why? Because this is the two-tiered justice system. It's only politics are here to condemn by the highest standard they can when a Republican does something, even a young Republican, in a private message, and they give a pass to liberals, because in the end, they believe we need to preserve liberal power. That's what this whole thing is about. I hope that makes sense to you guys. Here's more. Now, pastors are coming out condemning these young Republicans. These are all woke pastors. This is Zach Lambert says, I keep thinking about all the Christian pastors and leaders who still claim that the only true Christ-like posture toward politics is alignment with the Republican Party. So number one, that's a lie by this guy, because pastors have not been saying that the Republican Party is the only way to Jesus. So that in and of itself is a lie, told by the left all the time, repeated over and over again. He says, we need a faith that confronts racism and misogyny, which of course he doesn't say it about his own party, like the racism of when more black babies are aborted than white babies, when black poverty by their own condemning them for not voting for a black candidate. That's their racism. And misogyny, by the way, they also kill more female unborn than male born. Males are preferred by the Democrats that perform that surgery. I can go on and on. You guys know how I always say they don't care about blacks. They don't care about women. Neither does this guy. He sees a political opportunity. Take a shot at Republicans and to defend Democrats. Here's my friend Nurkish, who's brilliant. He's quoting and making fun of them. If young men keep saying rude things and making edgy jokes, I'm going to have no choice but to vote for abortion and genital mutilation of our children. That is essentially the argument of all of these woke pastors on the left. Very good, Nurkish. Very true. Now, here's Charlie Kirk on tactics. This is William Wolf said, J.D. Vance gets it, so did Charlie. Here's Charlie Kirk said, the left has never played by our rules. Only we have played by our rules because we're suckers. Our rules are what keeps our side from winning. We either want to win or we will lose under some delusion that the rules mean anything. Rules don't mean anything to the left. And I wrote, and I'm going to close on this, Democrats are not one bit offended by the racist chat texts. They just needed it to justify standing by Jay Jones so he can win. That's the conclusion. People on the right falling for this fake outrage are suckers, and our side are going nuts on these, going, oh, I distance myself from those comments. You're missing the political moment of why those texts were even leaked. Fake outrage or suckers and shouldn't be anywhere near politics, tactics, or strategy when an election hangs in the balance, when the country hangs in the balance. Do you see? Free speech hangs in the balance. There's always some prig who thinks the Bible commands him to rat out the Jews hiding in the basement when the Gestapo asks if they're hiding anyone. And their defense is, I cannot tell a lie. I can't break that commandment. It's actually immoral to rat out the Jews in your basement because that is not a lie. When you deceive the Gestapo, it's tactics. And this is a tactic where the left, they think they've got the captain seat. I hope this thing passes. I'm going to keep an eye on and let you know if this thing penetrates culture or not. I hope it goes away after today. What do you guys think? Do you condemn the texts of the young GOPers, or is this not a Democrat tactic? I'm Doug in Exile.